Hey there guys, Reckon here, and welcome back to Let's Read Katawa Shoujo. In the last episode, as you could probably tell from what we're seeing right now, we received a letter that was from Iwanako. And, other things happened, like Namiya expounded about what art is. He did not expound about what love is. Baby, don't hurt me no more. I mean, I do want to know what love is. I want you to show me. I want to feel what love is. And, whatever the rest of the lyrics are to that song. But Namiya brought up the exhibition, and Rin's not sure if should go through with it or not. And yeah. Anyway, let's start this episode off. After reading the letter, I fold it like it was and place it on my desk. I don't know what to think of this. I feel empty and confused. Why now, after all this time? Just yesterday I decided that I can't let myself stay like this, that I try to get on top of my own life. Reading this letter just reminds me of what could have been. Of course, I wish that I didn't have to be here. I'd want to be in the same class with Iwanako again. Maybe we would talk every day now and go on dates. My life didn't go like that. I didn't really need to be reminded of this. Iwanako needed to write this letter for her own sake, and I'm glad for her that she could, but it would have been better if I hadn't read it. Of course, she is right. I thought of the same thing yesterday. I'd fallen into a pit of depression, and now I have to try to climb out. I ripped out a page from my notebook, and after a moment of thinking how to frame my words, write a short reply to Iwanako. I find it difficult to be really honest with her, or to her, but at least I try to appear somewhat convincing. I don't write her about Yamaku at all. I doubt she will write me again, but I don't feel at all sad about it. I fold my own letter to her, and as I have no envelope, I set it next to Iwanako's. I'll mail it to her later. Then I lie back on my bed, looking at the monotone gray ceiling. A bird sings outside my window, and a sudden gust of wind flutters my curtains. The summer afternoon feels still, as if time had stopped for a brief moment. I think about all the things I've lost and will never regain. What do you know? Had I gone like another 2 minutes, I could have ended that last episode a little bit better. Ah well. That's in the past. I have to look toward the future. Thus the languid days of mid-June pass by. I mail my letter to Iwanako and receive no reply. Having decided to ditch the old me, I started observing my fellow students even closer than I did before, hoping to understand how other people cope with their own issues. I start seeing things that I didn't before. It makes me wonder if I've been wrong twice. Superficially, everyone is abnormal, yet so strikingly normal that it shocked me at first. I admired the way my new schoolmates turned their prejudices around just like that, simply by being themselves. Now that I've gotten used to it, I begin noticing other kinds of tones in the people surrounding me every day. There's this soft, numb sadness all around me. I can see the effort everyone has to make just to get through the day, and how it weighs on their shoulders like it weighs on mine. Even the brightest smile is just slightly subdued, every outburst of annoyance just slightly dampened. It's subtle, but it's definitely there. I try to think what it means, what I can learn from others. I wonder if deep down everyone is as lost as I am. Is there even one person here who has truly found peace? I start to feel doubtful about myself once again. I can't decide whether these people are happy, unhappy, or they just learned to cope and now live in an unfeeling limbo like I did all spring. I escape from these feelings into the towering piles of books that I carried to my room from Yuko's sanctuary. After realizing that this will just shut me down even more, I start going to the art club's room more often, usually whenever I can. Rin, too, seems to spend more time in it than in our own classroom. I've often seen her totter toward the door at the very end of our corridor. That wooden door in the room behind it, smelling of paint and paper, seemed to mean more to her than the rest of the world combined. She says she has special permission to use the room, which I don't doubt at all. I don't think Namiya would deny Rin anything. He seems to dote on her like an uncle upon a favorite niece. The object of his affection, however, has no favorites. She says she appreciates the teacher a lot for going the extra mile for her sake, but even when she says that, her expression is the same as always. It's as if she was talking about a particularly unremarkable rock that she saw the other day. I can't really figure out the relationship. Rin doesn't seem to let anyone close. I don't think even Evan could say she's crossed the gap that seems to separate Rin from the rest of the world. I don't understand it. She seems so indifferent, yet so passionate at the same time. Somewhere, the school bells ring the last call of the day. I realize I've been zoning out for who knows how long. Dazed, I sit up straight, trying to look as inconspicuous as possible. The pungent smells of linseed oil and turpentine mix in my nostrils as I draw a deep breath. I feel drowsy and lightheaded. It's already this late, and a few club members left early, so it's just me, Ren, the teacher, and 2 other girls who are about to leave. Ren is sitting to my right, slowly working on a painting while I'm idling the time away. I don't think she realizes I've been watching her this whole time. With a nimble move of her delicate ankle, she dips the brush into crimson paint and presses it lightly onto the canvas. A stain spreads around, as if the brush were bleeding. Her progress is slowed down to a crawl. By now I've learned this is dangerous for her technique, as the paint must now be allowed to dry before she's finished. It occurs to me that I'm literally watching paint dry, and yet somehow I'm not feeling bored, despite spacing out just now. Most of the time, the art club is very relaxed and free form, apart from times when Namiya gets really excited about some technique or style that he wants us to teach us about. Everyone is free to pursue their own interests. Lacking one, I keep floating around without a direction. I try this and that, but nothing really leaves me with a deeper impression, not to mention that I don't seem to have a special knack for anything. Well, I did get appraised for my attempt at watercolors, and I feel pretty good about that myself, but that's it. I suppose it's to be expected. I joined the art club mostly on a whim, after all. I'm thinking that maybe I should quit the club, if it's going to be this pointless. But there's nothing really wrong with pointlessness, and I can't exactly say I'm unhappy. Unsatisfied, maybe, but I've only got myself to blame for that. As the pair of girls exit the clubroom with a cheerful bye-bye, Namiya stands up from his desk. His chair scoots back with a loud screech that breaks the harmony of this quiet afternoon. He taps a pile of papers in his hands twice against the tabletop in order to straighten them, then stretches his back. I have a faculty meeting to attend, so I can't stay. I'll have to do some paperwork later, so if you want to stay, we can talk then. Sorry about this. There are 2 people here, but he's really talking to only one of us. Namiya spends extra hours of his time mentoring Ren after official club hours are over, and I'll bet he'd like to discuss his plan of getting Ren's art into a gallery a little bit more. It's alright. I think I'll probably be here, but it's not a big deal if I'm not. I don't really have much going now. Ren answers without moving her eyes from her work in progress. The tone of her voice is neither the polite kind expected when talking to a teacher, nor her usual monotone. So I won't need to send a search party if you aren't here. Yes, no thanks. I don't like the party. We can talk later. Good girl. Smiling, the teacher picks up the rest of his papers and makes his way to the door. I glance at the clock above it and at my watch to double check. They're 3 minutes apart, but nevertheless, the club meeting time is over now. Ren seems intent on staying here to work on her piece while waiting for the teacher. I can't quite imagine what their one-on-one time would be like. Would they actually discuss anything? Ren's always subdued in what she says, and when she does say something, it's difficult to understand what she's talking about. Maybe Namiya just talks endlessly like he does at club meetings, letting Ren absorb what she will from his infinite well of art knowledge, like a sunflower turning to face the glowing sun. Do you mind if I stay? I thought maybe I'd give watercolors another try. I blurted out the excuse sort of accidentally, embarrassing myself. Ren doesn't take her eyes off her painting. Okay. I shift around in my chair, then get to fetching a cup of water, brushes, colors, and some paper. The sound of my footsteps invades the still afternoon air. Before starting, I try to recall what the teacher told us, an important philosophy of the medium. Working with watercolors means more working with water than working with color. I try to keep that in mind and dip my tiny sable brush into the water cup. I'm mixing yellow and blue, trying to capture the sunlit treetops outside the window. The sun is low, so the yellows are more pronounced and everything looks darker. I still can't quite connect what I see with what my hand does with the paints, but it's a passable attempt for my level. After a while, I start losing my focus and move the paper aside, deciding to watch Ren work for a while instead. That little while stretches first into a long while, then into a really long while. Ren paints, her entire being fully concentrated on the brush between her slender toes and the painting coming to life one stroke at a time. She seemed determined, yet at the same time relaxed, effortlessly moving the brush around, never hesitating. Colors meet and part, mix and cover each other in the canvas, bending to her quiet will. I don't know anything about composition, structure, or any of that stuff, but I really like Ren's paintings. I like how she looks when she paints. As usual, the silence between us compels me to speak rather than merely wait for her to open up. She might end up saying nothing at all. Do you mind if we talk? I don't mind. Kinda wanted to ask more about why you get so weird about this thing the teacher wants to arrange for you. Ren picks up a tube of paint and squeezes it between her toes and a palette almost as easily as someone with opposable thumbs would. Taking up a brush again, she replies. A lot of things. And some not things. Fun things. I don't think that's a word. Do you want to talk about it? I try to reach out to her clumsily, ignoring the embarrassing feeling of awkwardness. Ren keeps her focus on the painting, spreading more and more paint on the canvas. Her lips form in the perfectly straight line as she concentrates on the job. Not really. Talking is hard. I mean, it's not hard. I'm talking even now. Saying the right things is really hard for me. No matter what, I just can't say the things I want. That sounds weird. It's true. I say all kinds of things that I don't really mean all the time. Sometimes I forget words and I use the wrong words. I even come up with new words for things that already have some. That's the worst thing. I get really nervous and everything comes out a mess and I don't even really understand what I want to say. I think there's something wrong with me that makes it like this. Remember when I said I can only think of 4 things at the same time? I nod, but wordlessly. It's not really 4. I mean, it is 4, but everything else is also kind of there in the background. Like being in an amusement park and the beehive at the same time. That's not the point. I used to do better, like 6 or 7 things. I think so, at least. I feel like I'm becoming dumber. I think everyone has times when they feel like they can't say the right things. But it's there all the time. Stronger and deeper. Yeah, deeper is a good word. I like that word. Deeper. It's that feeling of being underwater. Maybe it's just art. The more I paint, the more words I forget. Maybe at some point I'll forget how to speak completely. Feels like I'm slowly forgetting everything. You remember what you thought about 3 or 4 years ago? I don't. A long pause ensues, during which time seems to bend around itself, almost tying itself into a knot. I don't think I've ever heard Ren talk this earnestly and for so long about anything before. It's like I'm fading away from the world. Ren's foot has stopped its work on the canvas and she's staring at the painting, unmoving, as if gazing at some faraway horizon. Sunlight briefly glints in the corner of her onyx eyes. Something floats up into the top layer of Ren's being and she lets out a long breath. Then she blinks and it's gone. Paintings stay behind. When I look at my old things, I remember what I was thinking back when I made them. They make me feel like I can be with all the past me's when I was a different me. I guess they are the proof of my existence. She uses the exact same words Namiya used when he spoke to us of the nature of art. I didn't think Ren was paying any attention back then. I wonder if she was listening, or whether she had heard the same passionate speech from Namiya before. Either way, I feel overwhelmed. Boy, are you complicated. I would have taken up writing a diary. Her eyes quickly flickered in my direction and then back to the painting, but she doesn't pick up the brush anymore. That's a great idea. Why didn't I ever think of that? Are you being sarcastic? Sarcasm. I don't call her on the joke. It is one. Right at that moment, Namiya returns from his meeting. He waves to us with a very melodramatic hello, mildly surprised to see me along with his pet student. Walking with a boisterous gait to his desk, he drops his papers upon it. He picks up a handkerchief and cleans his glasses with incredibly meticulous care before walking over to us. Before he's within earshot of us, Ren says something to me in a quiet voice. Change is the scariest thing in the world to me. And I seriously don't know if I want to change you into a person who could do the thing the teacher wants me to do. I don't know if I could, even if I wanted to. Hello again. Hello. What's going on? He smiles a bit sheepishly, looking at both of us with uninhibited interest. Ah, nothing. We were just talking about the thing with your pointers in the gallery. For Ren's works. Sort of. Oh-ho? Any decisions? I look at Ren, who is trying to arrange the bothered expression on her face into something else. Anyway, I don't think I have much else to say other than you should go for it. Oh, I have 3 different options here. Nice. And I don't recall what any of these actually do. Technically. Because I'm pretty sure I mentioned this the first time I did this arc, but the choices that you get for this arc don't affect the story that much, but they branch off into, because there's 3 different choices that you make, and each choice will correspond to a choice here. 3 of those choices will give you a certain scene called Rose-Colored Glasses, where the other 3 would give you a scene called Badan, but I do not recall if any of these lead to what scene. So we may end up getting Rose-Colored Glasses, we may end up getting Badan. I feel this one fits best. This isn't like you. You told me that people shouldn't do things they can't. Should do things they can't just because they can. And now you're being all wishy-washy yourself about something that's important. I don't think I want to talk about this. going. Rin stands up and trots out of the room without anyone saying anything more. I'm sorry. I think I made her upset. Don't worry about it. She'll be fine, I'm sure. I'll talk to her later. Namiya looks at me over her circular pink glasses, smiling sympathetically. You've made friends with her then, Nakai? Well, something like that, I guess. Depends on how you look at it. To be honest, I'm not really sure. It's more like me and Rin just tend to hang around each other irregularly, talking or not about something that more often resembles some twisted mockery of philosophy rather than normal everyday things that friends chat about. Well, that's all good, isn't it? You're a new student. We should be promoting integration into the student body and such. I can't remember all the buzzwords they spewed faculty and Yumaku Foundation meetings, but that's how it is. Tezuka isn't the most social person around these parts either. Yeah, that's definitely true. So she's talked about my suggestion to you? Oh, no, not really. I think it's been more me pressing her to decide something. Maybe I shouldn't have. No, I'm sure it's fine. I'm too soft with her even when I shouldn't. I don't really know how to handle Tezuka. She's so independent and willful. I wonder if this is what every old geezer of an art teacher who got his hands on a young and fiery prodigy felt like. He chuckles ironically to himself a little bit, turning to face Rin's latest work, which she left drying on the easel. She departed so abruptly that I wonder if she considers it finally finished. So, let's see the painting then. He leans in closer, peering at the canvas. Draws you in, doesn't it? Namiya stands back straight, his face a dreamy, nostalgic visage. I don't answer him as he seems to be taking my agreement as a given. I sometimes stay here after hours just to look at Tezuka's paintings. She's really just prodigious, and at such a young age I get shivers just thinking of what she could become with a few more years of refinement. You asked what makes an artist, remember? This is it. They take a piece of the world and reshape it in their own image. Metaphorically, of course. Looking at her makes you wonder what the world looks like through her eyes. It's a wonderful thing to be young and full of passion, the most extraordinary time of your life. You would do well to remember that, Nakai. Yes, sir. It's so silly. People always ask artists, where do you get your ideas? As if ideas were something sold at the market for pocket change. You can't explain inspiration. For people like Tezuka, it's like breathing. It's an instinct. I've met maybe one or two with the same kind of raw potential, but no amount of potential will amount to anything if one doesn't work to realize it. It's practice, technique, skill. Draw for an hour a day, every day for a few years, and even the most helpless case becomes a passable artist. Tezuka is not brilliant because she was born with a natural talent for this kind of thing. She's brilliant because she works harder than anyone, ever since she learned to hold a pen, most likely. And all of it with her feet, no less. Absolutely phenomenal. Silence finally lands in the classroom as Namiya lets himself get drawn back into Ren's painting, gently murmuring acceptance toward the still wet canvas. What kind of things do you paint yourself? As if waking from a reverie, he looks at me surprised at my talking to him. Oh, I don't. Not anymore. I became an art teacher only after my career in the field came to an end. Now I just pass on knowledge to the next generation. The way Nami answers is curious, both giving and withholding information. I feel like asking more, but he cuts in before I get the chance. Now you should run along, my boy. It's almost dinner time, isn't it? Yes, sir. Have a good evening. You too. I quickly collect my stuff and step out into the deserted hallway, leaving the teacher alone with his musings. The weekend will be here soon. It's amazing how fast time flies here. I promised Emmy I'd join her for the celebration of her triumph at the track meet last week. That should be plenty of fun. I don't recall if the scene I'm thinking of is before the celebration or after. I suppose this will clue me in. Clearly it's after. Are you sure you want to go? The weather that has been wonderful all of July has finally taken a turn for the worst. The leaden clouds trooping over the town look worrisome and the air feels heavy and still, just like before rain. The forecast says there's a 60% chance of rain this afternoon. Maybe this will mark the beginning of the rainy season. Of course I'm sure. I've been waiting for this all week. I like how the colors are kind of like... I don't know the term, actually. Something's telling me washed out is it, but I'm pretty sure that's way off. Anyway, the colors on Emmy seem different than usual. Not as bright. Emmy had planned a picnic at some nearby park with snacks aplenty bought from the convenience store. But with the weather this gloomy, it seems risky. I asked some other people to come too, but they didn't want to go because of the weather. We have to prove them wrong. Wrong how? You know, like how it always rains when you think it won't, and when you think it will, it doesn't. We're going no matter what, so it's a win-win situation. I've been going without sweets for weeks because I practice for the track meet. Now I can splurge on anything I want. Nothing's gonna stop me now. I thought you were all about a healthy lifestyle and stuff. Oh ho ho, Hasao, you understand so little. There's not a single girl on the planet who doesn't love sweets. I don't like sweets. She doesn't count. Anyway, is this clear? Completely. We will go and eat our fill of sweets. Damn straight we will. I'm gonna have to work it off later, but it's so worth it. That sounded odd. Amy seems to be extremely determined about this. She's positively exhilarated, brimming with energy as always, but something seems special today. Looks like she can hardly stop herself from jumping up and down the spot. Come on! I grasp the wooden handle of the umbrella I brought and start to follow the two girls, who seem to have no qualms about leaving me behind if I keep daydreaming. My umbrella is really fancy, the old-fashioned kind with a curved handle and a metal spike at the end. It used to belong to my grandfather. It looks like an antique, but it's in really good shape, almost as good as new. It's really big, too. I remember how my grandfather, my grandmother, and I all fit neatly under it when a rainstorm caught us on an afternoon walk years ago when I was around 9 or 10. My grandparents are both gone now, but I still have the umbrella to keep me dry when it rains. We walk along the road leading down from the school toward the convenience store, the clouds casting their dark shadow down on us. The weather seems to be taking a turn for the worse, and I'm pretty sure I just felt a raindrop in my head. Didn't you guys think of taking umbrellas? It really looks like it'll rain. Ren looks at her limply hanging sleeves and shrugs her shoulders. I don't have one. Besides, a little rain won't kill us. She pushes her chest out, looking very confident about that. We aren't made of sugar. I thought that's exactly what girls are made of, especially considering what you're planning to gorge yourself on today. She just sticks her tongue out in reply. Walk down from the school to the local shopping district. It's not a long one, but it's not very short either. It's all downhill, so our steps roll easily, but time stretches out nevertheless. The distance is right there in that gray area where you don't expect the trip to be quickly over with, but you aren't preparing for a long walk either. Thus, the trip is slightly too long to stay comfortably quiet the whole time, though the girls don't seem to mind. Ren walks calmly ahead, seemingly lost in thought. I'm kind of wary about starting a conversation, since the last time didn't end very well for either of us. I haven't exchanged a single word with her since then. Emmy, on the other hand, is way too happy about just walking. She seems to literally jump a little on every step, or skip over cracks, or balance on the edge of the sidewalk. Every now and then she comments on something to which Ren replies in an automatic-sounding, nonsensical way that makes Emmy giggle a little. As we reach the bottom of the hill, the first raindrops begin to fall. I feel one hit the top of my head. Then two more hit my nose in quick succession. It's not one or two rain clouds anymore. The entire sky has turned shadowy gray, billowing rain clouds swirling right on top of us. Oh shoot. Guess we aren't going to have a picnic then. What now? Maybe we could have a rain picnic. A picnic in rain. No, we'd all just catch it cold, and I don't like getting me or my snacks wet. I kind of like it. Not the snacks part, though. Let me consider the problematic situation for a moment while I open my umbrella and lift it up, trying to hold it so the three of us get covered. Hey, Asao, have you been to the Shanghai yet? It's a cafe somewhere around here, right? I've heard of it. It's a nice place. Let's go there and wait out the rain. It's really just a quick shower. We can still go for the picnic. If it gets worse, we'll just order cake there instead. Neither Ren nor I have better ideas, so with Emmy taking the lead, we start walking briskly along the side street. The cafe is only a few blocks away, but even with the umbrella, we can't avoid getting slightly damp. The rain keeps coming down harder and harder. Raindrops leave tiny dots on the black asphalt road, which then combine into bigger patches like pointillist artwork being made in front of our eyes in mere seconds. It's pouring heavily, drumming on the hoods of the cars parked on the sides of the street, and already flowing in little creeks along the sidewalks. The yellow light shining through the rainwater streaming down the windows is very warm and inviting. I shake the excess water off the umbrella and head inside with him, following Emmy to a vacant table in the furthest corner of the small cafe. The place is almost full. Apparently other people had the same idea as Emmy, and now we're all stranded together in this cozy little place. Varnished wooden pillars and paper screens mixed with Parisian-style tables and chairs in discordant harmony, a contrast of old and new. Light jazz plays quietly in the background, though it's mostly drowned out by the murmur of the customers. There's only one waitress serving the full house, frantically gliding from one table to another, trying to keep up with everything. To my surprise, I think I recognize her. I watch her deliver a tray of teacups and pastries to another table taken by Yamaku's students, then take an order from a middle-aged couple sitting across from us before finally turning to serve us. Yuko? Now that she's close and facing me, I see that it really is her, the part-time librarian of Yamaku in full waitress attire. It's a pretty cute outfit. She has her hair tied up in buns to match. It's a completely different image from her mousy, plain style at her other job. Yuko blinks a few times, looking confused, then remembers that she was about to say something. Welcome to Shanghai. So you work here too? I thought you were a university student or something. Yes, that too. It's a part-time job, as you can see. It's Sunday, so there aren't any lectures. Good thing too, since today's been so busy, I'm wishing for another pair of hands. Anyway, in a bit of a rush, as you can see. What can I get you today? Amy doesn't hesitate even for a second. Her eyes glitter like those of a kid in a candy store. Tea for everyone, and cake for me. Yuko tries to stay as formal and professional looking as possible, smiling cheerily at my ravenous companion. Yes, today we have a choice of strawberry shortcake, raspberry layer cake, or lemon meringue pie. Strawberry. No, lemon. No, actually, I'll take both. She looks at me in challenge. I'll just take the pie. Nothing. Amy makes a face at Ren as though she'd bitten into a lemon. She's clearly unhappy with her for not joining in. Oh, come on, Ren, that's not polite at all. Nothing, thank you. No, you silly, I meant you should order something too. I'll take a straw then. My feet are all wet. Sorry? The drinking kind of straw. One, please. Yuko is obviously uncertain of what to think about this. She fiddles with her pen and stationery for a moment, looking like she's about to cry before deciding to be finished ordering. Thank you very much. She bows down a little bit too deeply and scampers to safety behind the counter. After that ordeal is over with, I have a chance to relax a bit and take a better look at the surroundings. Almost every table is occupied by people happy to be out of the rain, thankfully sipping their tea while waiting to dry off. Fragments of grumbling about the lousy weather or discussions over recent homework carry from nearby tables to my ears. Each one overlaps the other, but all are covered by the sound of falling rain. After a while, Yuko returns to our table, carrying a tray with a huge teapot, 3 cups, a slice of cake, and 2 slices of lemon meringue pie. She slaps the tray onto her tiny table with a clatter, almost sending the teapot toppling over into Ren's lap. We barely recover before she bows again and leaves, hurrying off to serve the other customers. Emmy has been eyeing her strawberry cake very hungrily all this time, but somehow she managed to contain herself until Yuko was out of sight. She digs in with gusto while I content myself with pouring tea for everyone and placing the straw in Ren's cup. Ren looks at the way the tea swirls round and round in her white china cup, her eyes half closed, almost like she's being hypnotized. I pick up my fork and eye the food in front of me. The pie I got looked perfectly done, a thick layer of meringue atop creamy lemon custard. After having the first bite, I pause, savoring the combination of tangy citrus and smooth, sugary meringue. It's quite good, though a bit too sweet for me. If very good. She's talking through a mouthful of cake, already halfway through a slice, even though it's not exactly small. I want to taste some of that. Before I get to respond, she strikes out on my delicious pie, takes a piece with her fork, and escapes with it. This is pretty good, too. What are you doing? You have a slice of your own. Yeah, but if I started on that before finishing the cake, it'd be rude, don't you think? Her insolence is outrageous, but the gentleman in me allows for no retaliation. I glare angrily at her, and she replies by sticking her tongue out impishly. Emmy is even more hyper than usual today, but I don't mind. It's good for her to let off some steam. I take another sip of the tea in my cup. It's good and hot, even though I don't usually care much for tea. The atmosphere in the cafe is very relaxing. I don't mind spending the rest of the afternoon here, not even after Emmy orders her second piece of strawberry cake and Ren spends most of the time staring fixedly at the rain streaming down from the heavens. Even Yuko rolls her eyes at the third piece of cake, disappearing into Emmy's bottomless stomach just as quickly as the previous two. Despite the passing of time, it's still raining outside when we exit the Shanghai, though it seems to be letting up a little. Too bad it had to rain on your parade. Weren't we supposed to be having a picnic? Emmy doesn't look too distraught over this turn of events. Nah, it's fine. We had a good time, didn't we? I feel really pumped up. It isn't even raining that hard anymore. I kind of want to hack back to school to get rid of the energy and work off some of that cake. She stretches her arms out and arches her back like a cat. After rolling her shoulders around twice, she smiles brightly. Man, I can't really run with these legs, though, especially uphill. I wish I brought my other ones. This notion sounds odd, spoken so casually, but I guess for Emmy, changing legs is sort of like someone else changing shoes. Even if I walk really fast, that'll be kind of like running. I think I'll do that. Won't be able to keep up with that going uphill, though. I'm in really bad shape. Plus, you'll get wet with that umbrella. It's hardly even a drizzle now. A few drops won't hurt. I'm gonna go track after I change my legs, too. Amy skips away from the protection of my umbrella and goes on ahead at a brisk pace. Suddenly, she seems to remember something as she stops and spins around. See you tomorrow! Come eat lunch with us in the roof. I'll bring it up for 3. Ren and I are left to watch her wave at us and skip off again. Soon she disappears around a street corner. I'll never understand why Emmy's perpetually in such a hurry to get somewhere. So, would you like me to walk you back to school so that at least one of you won't get wet? If you are happy with it. It seems neither of us wants to keep alive the strained atmosphere of an argument a few days ago in the art room, which makes me feel relieved. I don't want to bear grudges, and I'm happy that Ren feels the same way. Thus it is decided that we are content with each other's company for now, and we start walking in the same direction as Emmy, albeit at a considerably calmer pace. But I think at this point we're going to end the episode off because we have hit the half-hour mark, and seem to recall the scene had a couple of minutes in it, and I don't want to go that far over. So, I believe the next episode will have that scene that I was talking about before. And then shortly after that should be the scene in her room, which is also a decent scene. Where just I can talk about that at a later date. So anyway, I'm recommending you, the viewer, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, favorite, comment, all that, good stuff. If you want to. By no means do you have to. Pretty sure you understand that. And until next time, keep on painting. You gotta keep on painting. Apparently, if you draw for an hour a day, in a couple of years you'll be a passable artist. So, there's always that.